Councilors Bay, Councilor Hogan, Councilor White. So we'll turn it over to, I would assume, Dave, you're going to do the presentation.
If you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Do you want me to drive and just present certain pages of the budget? How do you want to walk through it? How does it work best so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think just a general overview of the year.
So there's no other way to say this other than, this budget represents call it a historical investment in technology by this administration. They are putting in place the people and the resources to get the job done in this day and age. IT, I would argue, has not been properly funded for a long, long time, and this goes a long, long way to shoring that up. There's a commitment to people. There's 6 new positions. Our current fiscal year budget represents that we have 2 new positions that have started during this fiscal year. We have a web design specialist that started about 5 or 6 weeks ago, and he's working with the communications team down in the mayor's office. And we have another position that started in the fall working with the Kronos group. Kronos is a timekeeping system that we're in the process of implementing. And we have a lot of big projects like that being implemented simultaneously. None probably bigger than that Kronos project, which will be the one source of record for timekeeping throughout the city. But back to the 40,000 foot view of the budget. It's a $1.1 million increase over fiscal year 21. I mentioned the new positions. There's also a large increase in our 540 500 line, operating supplies and expenses. That's where we consolidate all of the software maintenance agreements that the city has. It gives us a global view of what is being spent on software, gives us an opportunity to take a look at and see where we can consolidate, where we're spending money that might not have been in full view before if each department did their own. So for example, in that budget line, every piece of software that the city purchases is supposed to come through IT. So whether it's LexisNexis for law, or it's some software to run the tools at DPW, or it's core accounting software for IT. All of it's represented in that line. Now that line represents a $478,000 increase. So our IT's total budget went up 1.1 million. $478,000 of it is in the 500 operating line. There's about $586,000 increase with the new positions. And there's also an acknowledgement that while we have these positions and we have them funded, hiring IT folks is hard. We talked about this in the fall. There's a lot of competition. The city has a hard time keeping up with the salary ranges. So we have a significant increase in our professional services line. We have to rely on consultants to help with projects. We don't have the manpower, we don't have the expertise. Few do, but we're pretty understaffed right now. So that represents a 24% increase over last year's budgeted amount. That goes up to $310,000 for the proposed fiscal year 22. We're going to spend this year about $150,000 to $175,000. Our budget's $250,000, but next year our budget is proposed to be $310,000. Any questions?
Yes, Dave. I was just wondering if And we had talked about this earlier in a bunch of different discussions regarding where do we stand? If you could tell us where we would stand in certain classifications as comparison to the county. We're spending more money, but are we bringing people up to the salary range of the county?
Oh, that's a good question. I have 3 specific positions that I'm just in my day-to-day most concerned with, and that's senior network administrator. We have 3 of them in this budget. Yes, we're very close to the top of the salary range for the civil service. They give you that range. We're pretty close to the top. This will be the most by about $10,000 we've ever offered for that position, and we have 3 of them coming next year. So
Well, I'm just saying all our positions. I mean, we're obviously in competition with the county, the state, and everybody else. So I want to,
Yep.
especially with your particular department that basically saved us over this last year as far as the operation of a lot of city services and delivery of a lot of city services. So of these positions that you've mentioned, how many of them are filled now? How many vacancies do you have in your department now?
The vacancies in my budget for this fiscal year right now, I probably have 3. It does get very confusing. I've got a chart. I had to color code it because we've got 6 new positions. We unfunded a couple and we switched titles on 2 other ones. So I've got this chart and I could show it to you, but it's got about 15 rows of movement. The net is 6 new positions in the 22 budget. Right now, I believe I have 3 vacant funded positions.
Councilor Frank Oliva, Chief Administrative Officer, I will tell you that we're struggling, as Dave has mentioned in the past. We do have open positions now. We have increased the salary range to be more comparable. I've had 2 pretty qualified candidates, very qualified candidates, turn us down on salary in the last 2 weeks. So we're seeing it. The marketplace is difficult right now, but we'll continue on.
So Frank, you're saying when you say on salary is because we're not paying enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the sole determinant.
Okay. Well, I think that's the sole determinant in a lot of different ways with the city. So I'm wondering if we should probably relook at the salaries we're offering, and if we need to up those salaries, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
No, you're absolutely right. We upped them. We upped the ranges somewhat. We thought it was going to be enough, and we're, according to the 2 folks that just turned us down, we're off by a factor of about $15,000. Both of them were taking significant pay cuts, but both had agreed to knew up front they were going to take significant pay cuts to come back to Syracuse and work for the city, and both were committed to that. But we were about $15,000 off in both cases. So
I think you're right, Counselor, and I'll tell you that because these 2 candidates, these were good candidates. These are the people we want to hire, right? I think we need to consider what you're suggesting because these are really sharp people, and these are the people we need. So if that's where the market is, we may have to get there. I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Just one point for consideration. I think it's a little unfair, even if valid, to compare our ability to pay versus county. They're a bigger government with a bigger budget. On scale, it may not be a fair comparison, though I understand the argument of a competitiveness. I don't have a case to make, Dave, against the hiring. I'd much rather improve our IT capacity and performance than give away our IT department. So,
Yep.
you know,
It It was the counselor that brought up the county comparison, not me. I was just.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I'm attentive. I'm paying attention. But
Yeah.
my point is still
Yep.
made.
But the good candidates, these two candidates we had, they weren't looking at other county jobs, and they're not coming from another government. They're coming from the private sector. So that's the reality of the marketplace now.
Dave, so for the additional amount in the budget this year, from the perspective of a city employee or constituent, how will they perceive this new investment? Like what new capacity will they see, what services, et cetera?
Good
So
question.
let me, Dave, I'll take that at a high level, and then Dave can go to the detail, Counselor. The 6 positions are bifurcated, so we're looking at building capacity on 2 different sides of IT. On the one side, it's the area where Dave is most focused, which is on the legacy network security, maintenance, administration. And the 3 positions that we're envisioning are a network lead, a cybersecurity and mobile device and smart cities lead, and then help desk and endpoint lead. So those of us who work in City Hall know that, our folks on the help desk are just stretched absolutely thin and just can't get to all of the day-to-day problems. Cybersecurity, we've spoken with the council before, increasing problem, and we need to bring some expertise in-house. And as Dave has mentioned, I think to you and certainly to me on numerous occasions, as the street light network gets up and running and we start hanging sensors off of that network, we're going to need someone with smart cities capability to head there. The other 3 positions are on what we're starting to call our digital services side. Dave already talked about the fact that departments have increasing demands for tools that are very specific to what they do. So the water department just installed CityWorks. We're looking, a number of departments are looking to expand CityWorks. See-Click Fix, which is the interface between the city's constituent services and constituents, is coming. And there's additional iterations of the permitting software. The City Payment Center is in the process of implementing some new technology there. So the 3 positions on the digital services side will be I'm calling them technical leads. They'll be very focused on those specific proprietary departmental products. One around our financial services. So we lost our PeopleSoft expert to the university during the course of this fiscal year. So we'll hire someone or look to hire someone to focus on PeopleSoft and our payment processing systems and be the technical lead there. We need to put someone in place to be the lead on the HR products, PeopleSoft, Kronos, Telestaff, the whole payroll system. And then the 3rd person will be focused on the departmental proprietary products and working with all the other departments and their systems. It's still candidly thin, but we wanted to find a balance between a significant investment in a single budget year and not going overboard either. Dave, anything that I missed that you want to add?
No, and the one thing I would add though, Counselor, if IT does a really, really good job, then Joe taxpayer probably doesn't notice us. You don't read about us in the newspaper. You avoid those stories. You avoid any exposures or hacks, hopefully. And I just think very quickly, the projects we're working on right now, we're replacing the phone system at parks. That's decades old. We're getting ready to upgrade all the security cameras at DPW. All that stuff works. It's not the type of thing that taxpayer may appreciate it. We're kind of below below the public view a little bit.
Questions from other council?
Yeah, I've got a brief question, Councilor Green. So I'm just wondering, listening to the challenges that you guys are elucidating, what's going to be the plan maybe to attract the type of candidates that we need? Is it purely just an issue of salary? And if it is, what's the administration's will to increase our offerings so that we make sure that IT's putting out a good product?
It's a great question, Counselor. I think it's salary. I want to be careful. Salary is a component, but we spend a considerable amount of our recruiting effort leveraging relationships. So the two candidates that we just lost were both came to us as the result of relationships. That, first off, they both had previous connections to the city. Both wanted to come back to the city, rejoin family. Had done the metro thing and were ready to come back to a smaller metropolitan area. They also had connections to folks in the city who made the same decision. So I think in both cases, they had been students of folks who were adjuncts up at SU. So that's really the fertile ground for us is expats, if you will, who want to make it back, who have an affinity for the city, who want to see the city continue to prosper, and are willing to take a pay cut to do that. I think to Councilor Hogan's point, we're probably asking too much of them on the pay cut, and I think we're going to have to find some additional dollars to put into that pot. But if it were just about the money, we would never be able to afford folks, frankly, because on the open market, these folks can make a lot more money than we'll ever be able to afford to pay them. And that's simply the fact. And the same is true for the county or any other municipality. The dollars just aren't there. But there's other reasons that folks want to work with us.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay. If not, we'll close the budget hearing. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.